have we learned and what can we do differently moving forward? Joining me today is, of course, Dr. Nancy Semba Tahimba, the Executive Director of Euphrates Climate Foundation. Welcome to Climate Care, Doctor.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, everyone. I know it's time for us to discuss about affecting our life.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in because, hey, time is not always on our side on this show. So, let's explore as much as we can. And first, I would like to ask, when you look back at the climate challenges we have experienced in recent years, I don't know if you need to adjust a bit. There's a bit of echo from your end. Yes, so that our listeners can listen properly. Thank you. When you look back at the climate challenges we have experienced in recent years, what stands out for you the most?
Okay, thank you, Susan, for that question. For me, the biggest lesson, what stands out for me is unpredictability and how climate action can no longer be treated as an environmental issue. We can now view it in different perspectives. It is a developmental, economical, it is a health issue, food security issue, and social justice issue. And in Nigeria, we have seen more intense flooding, like what happened in Lagos, and the deaths in the flooding, and the deaths we just heard yesterday in the northern part of Nigeria, the extreme heat, the irregular rainfall, the drought in some areas, food insecurity, and loss of livelihoods, and particularly among farmers and low-income communities in Nigeria. So this is, for me, it's a big issue, and these are the areas that stood out for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so, okay, let me quickly follow that up with a question. Now we have seen what has stood out. And so, what will be the lessons we should take from this experience? Even here in Abuja, we saw issues of flooding last week, within the week because of lack of proper drainage. So the question would be, what lessons should we take from these experiences? Because climate affects all areas of our lives.
Okay. All right. So the key lesson is that we can no longer just afford to sit and fold our arms and wait until climate disasters happen before we act. We need to move from reacting to disasters to investing in prevention, preparedness, and community resilience. Another is inclusion for vulnerable groups and the local communities in decision-making and other climate actions, because they are the ones that are living these experiences, and they are the ones that know how it bites. They will be able to help us and to tell us how and in what ways they are being affected. Co-creation, when you want to make a policy or you want to help out with something in communities, it's better to include them, because they will give you the information and the strategies as how to go about these things. And I feel, for me, that is a key lesson for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I can't agree less. Most times we are not proactive. And that's a huge gap we have in Nigeria. Most times we wait for these things to occur before we start running helter-skelter. But you are saying, no, we need to have preventive measures in place. And I absolutely agree. And what are preventive measures if those who are worst hit are not at the table, co-creating these conversations, telling you in real time how it affects them, how it affects children, the elderly, the youths, persons with disabilities, and all other vulnerable groups? I absolutely agree with you that we need to be proactive, as it were. And, over time on this show, one of the things we have echoed and re-echoed is the fact that women are often greatly affected by climate change. No one is going to take that away from us. So I want to ask you, please, what does this mean for women, especially our listeners, who are listening, whether it's your girlfriend, it's your wife, you are listening on their behalf. We want, some people to take something away. What does this mean for women, especially those whose livelihoods depend on farming and small businesses? Because you can't go into the big businesses because it is capital intensive. So what does this mean for the average small business owner and those whose major source of livelihoods are farming?
Okay, yes. Thank you so much, because of course we know that women, the youth, and the vulnerable groups are the most affected when all of these disasters occur. So it means that climate change can now deepen the economic and social challenges of women, and social challenges of women that are already, that are already affected in different ways. For women farmers and small business owners, floods, the droughts, the extreme heat, and the unpredictable rainfall can reduce farm yields. It destroys their businesses and it increases food prices in the market. And it is harder to earn a stable income because, you plant today and tomorrow there is something that has come to take away what you have put in place for all these years. So, but this can happen, the change and all of this can be better if women are seen as powerful agents of resilience and climate solutions. So in as much as they are at the receiving side of this, of all of this that is happening, if we look at them as powerful agents of change and climate resilience and solutions, then it will go a long way to help us to change our strategies around all of these climate disasters. Thank you.
I attended a training like 2 weeks ago, and that training bordered around having persons with disability, because of course, for listeners who don't know, I am a beautiful woman with a disability, a proud one at that. Who cares? So you see, one of the things that program was about was to strengthen our capacity to be able to advocate, understanding that even within the elderly community, the children and other vulnerable, it is not a homogeneous community. And so you might see two persons on a wheelchair. The way it affects me is not the way it affects my counterpart. It's not the way it affects a blind person, a person with albinism, and so on and so forth. And so it's important that we have women of different colors, dimensions, sitting at the table, co-creating solutions that will drive climate change. And I absolutely agree with you, because that training for me was a huge eye-opener. For I will not lie to you, it opened my eyes to the shocks and everything that comes with climate change. And so this is an emerging issue, and not just in Nigeria or Africa, and so we need to treat it as such. If you are just joining us, this is WFM 91.7 Women Radio, and we are on the show Climate Care. And you would do well to join us. Call the phone lines 0700 0917 917 09155 917 917. We have the toll-free line 0800 1235 917. You can also send us a message on WhatsApp. We want to hear from you. We want to feel your pulse. We want to know how climate change is affecting you, your community, wherever you are. Send us a message on 07031 756 08155 917 917. Hey, you can also watch us and listen on the go. You can watch us on YouTube at WFN 917. all our social media handles, WFM917, and you can listen live on www.wfm917. You are still tuned into Women Radio WFM 91.7, and the time is 18 minutes before 12 noon. And I have as my guest Dr. Nancy, the Executive Director of Euphrates Climate Foundation, and we are looking at the topic, looking back, moving forward. Yes, we have talked so much about climate change, and we are looking at what should we do as people. And quickly, I want to look at the fact that as we move forward, as we will always say on the show, we are not just here to amplify the challenges, we also treat solutions. We are a solution-driven program. So as we move forward, what practical steps can individuals and communities take to respond to climate change? We need communities to take ownership so that they don't feel, no, not their thing. It's very easy to say, oh, it's their thing, it's not our thing. What are practical steps that our communities can take to drive climate change?
Okay, so for individuals and communities, there are simple and practical steps such as planting trees, reducing waste, keeping the environment clean, saving energy and water, and adopting climate-smart farming practices. Communities should also strengthen early warning systems, disaster preparedness, and awareness campaign. It is not everybody that knows about this climate change, even though it has been here for a bit of time. It is not everyone that is aware, and so we need to keep on with the campaign, the sensitization around climate change and the issues surrounding it. And most importantly, we should work together and make climate action part of our everyday lives. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with you. One of the things that came out strongly from your submission was the fact that early warning signs, this is something that is lacking in our communities. And when you speak about vulnerable groups, one of the vulnerable groups, within the disability space, among other groups, because we also have people who don't have disabilities who are not lettered. And so they cannot hear, even as we're speaking English on this show. There are people who will need to communicate in their local dialects. I am a firm believer of advocating in our local dialect. It gives me joy. Forget about all of this English. We need to speak to the people in the language that they understand. And one of the things I noticed at this training I was talking about is the fact that for a deaf person, deafness is an invisible disability. And so you might be given information and that person is not even carried along. Because you are seeing them, you think, oh, nothing is wrong with this person and all of that. You do not know that there is a communication gap for this set of persons. There are people with different forms of challenges, which is why they are more vulnerable, and that's why it's classified as vulnerable groups. So as we begin to look at some of these things, early warning signs, increased awareness, can we have funders support us more so that even this intervention, we have to cascade it at the local level to the local communities, our traditional rulers, our religious leaders, because we know that these are people of influence. And so some people might not listen to their parents, trust me. But when a traditional ruler or a religious leader speaks to them, it sticks. because these are people they respect so much. So I would like to ask, as we begin to round off this show, I mean, what is one message you would like to leave with our listeners, understanding the fact that the demography is different? We have people who are not lettered. You've talked about planting trees, that cannot be overemphasized. Smart agriculture and what have you. What is one message you would like to leave with our listeners about protecting our environment and preparing for the future? Because whether you are aware of climate change or not, it affects us in one way or the other. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. What I would like to say as a form of closure is that protecting our environment today as we live every day, is the best way to secure a safer, healthier, and more resilient future for ourselves and for the generations to come. So let us live every day and remember that whatever we do each day and every day will go a long way to affect the future generations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Wow, I can't agree less with you. I mean, the pure water sachets that we drop on the road, the carbonated drinks we take in this era where, you know, you have a lot of plastics. You go to buy food, they sell it to you in plastic, take away, and what have you. And so many other things that we don't even recycle in this part of the world. Dear listeners, if there's something we need to take home, just like Doctor has said, we are looking at creating a resilient future, not just for ourselves, but even for the unborn generation. Can we be more intentional in protecting our environment, disposing our waste appropriately? Let's stop littering the roads. We talked about flooding. We've seen it happen. Even those of us who God is blessing in one way or the other, you get to get a piece of land. Can you do well to build your facility, your home, in a good place, not a place where you are blocking the drainage system, Doctor? Because we have also seen that people end up building along the drainage pathways. And when you build along those pathways, it becomes a problem. And that is why you are seeing, I mean, a lot of flooding. We're looking at heat, we are looking at so many things, and we will not shy away from the fact that we still have epileptic power supply. And so, how are we even able to cope with the heat that comes with the heat waves plus the absence of electricity to even use your fan that you have in the house? We keep using our generators. Do you have enough space? Are you sure the fumes from these generators were not taking it back into our systems? I mean, on climate care, we have tried to address so many things. And I'm glad that this is coming at a time where we have a lot of climate challenges. It is not easy. I know that we have come a long way from where we started. The awareness is rising, even though it has not gone round. Doctor, what will be your final words? I mean, just to anybody listening, what is that one thing you want them? Because in most parts of Nigeria, Fridays is, thank God it's Friday, and Saturdays and Sundays come with a lot of activities, whether it is party, wedding, church activities, and we are taking in one thing or the other. What is that one word you want our listeners to go home with?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
All right,
thank you
so
so much.
thank you so much.
What I would say
What I
is
would
that
say is that
we have a
we
part to
have a part
play.
to play.
You know, you go
You
to,
know,
just like you
just
mentioned,
like
you
you
go to
mentioned,
an
you go to
occasion
an
and
occasion and
you have
you have
all the pure
all the
water,
pure
litter,
water,
the bottle,
litter,
you know, the plastics and all of that. And it is our responsibility to, first of all, pick them up, keep that environment clean, and make sure that the waste is being disposed properly. You see people just drinking pure water and just dropping the sachet. They don't care to drop it or dispose it properly as it should. So one thing I would like to tell us all is, as everybody contributes to doing the right thing, this will count. It will go a long way to helping us reduce some of these negative challenges that climate change have on us and then on our environment. You know, you've mentioned the thing about generator. That thing I tell you, the carbon monoxide and that carbon dioxide is toxic, and it can kill someone so
that is
easily.
toxic.
So
And
if
it can
you know
kill
that you
someone
have a
so easily.
generator
So if you know that
and
you have a
you need to
generator
put it
and
on,
you
it
need
is
to put it
advisable
on,
that you
it is
channel
advisable that you
that fume
channel
or the carbon
that
monoxide or carbon dioxide into
that
the
fuel
atmosphere,
or the carbon
even though
monoxide
that
or
will
carbon
go a
dioxide
long
into
way
the
as well
atmosphere,
to
even
affect the
though that
atmospheric
will go a
condition
long way as
of
well
the
to affect
environment.
the
But I mean,
atmospheric
if you need
condition
to do it,
of
that
the
is what is
environment. But I mean,
advisable.
you need to do
But
it,
we
it's what
all
is
are
advisable.
advocating for
But we
renewable
all
energy.
are advocating
And
for renewable
because we are
energy.
not paying for
And
the sun,
because we are
it
not paying
comes
for
up
the
every
sun,
day. It
it
is
comes up
free.
every
It is
day. It
clean.
is
It
free.
doesn't
It is
affect the
clean. It
environment. It
doesn't
doesn't
affect the
affect
environment. It
us.
doesn't
And so that
affect
is
us. And so
what
that is
we are all
what
advocating for.
we are
So
all
let's all play
advocating
a
for.
part.
So let's all
Every day
play
as we
a part.
wake up, let
Every
us
day as we
continue
wake
to
up, let us
take
continue to
responsibilities, take part
take
in the cleaning, disposal of environment, and keep it clean,
responsibilities,
and
clean,
then make
and
sure
then
that
make sure that
all the things that needs to be done by the day, by the second, by the minute, let's not put it off. Let us continue to strive to do the right thing. And this will help to keep the atmosphere clean and our environment as well. Thank you so
environment
much.
as well. Thank you so much.
Wow. A big thank you to our guests. Of course, it's always a pleasure to have Dr. Nancy, the Executive Director of Euphrates Climate Foundation, join us. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. And it lies on each and every one of us. We all have a role to play. We can decide to ensure that we have clean energy, that we dispose our wastes appropriately, as it were. So thank you for listening to Climate Care on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Special thanks to my producer Aisha Sani and the executive producer Tom Okewale Shonaya. My name is Susan Kelechi Ihoma. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and remain climate conscious, and have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining in, Doctor.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Have a
much.
nice
Have a
weekend,
nice
everyone.
weekend, everyone.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.